Lindsay recently made a video talking about the schwa sound in American English and how it's taught by American teachers. I want to make this special video as a little bit of a response to his video because I think that his way of looking at it is certainly sufficient, but not necessarily nuanced enough or the most accurate. Of course, a big part of why I'm responding is because several of my own clips from English Hacks were used in his video, and given what he talked about and some of the clips that he used, I'm under the impression that he perhaps didn't watch the entire video, at least the truth about the schwa lesson that I have. I do generally agree with Dr. Lindsay that this is sort of merged into one thing within general American English. Americans don't generally perceive too much of a difference between and I may not even be doing that correctly because it's hard for me to isolate that upside down V sound. However, you can still hear both of these in American speech every day. The reality, as I talked about in my lesson about the truth about the schwa, is that it's a range for one sound. Now, every sound has a range, and I'm going to be making a very special series talking about how ranges work within English, specifically American English, but not every sound has a significant range where there's some sort of crazy change between the fully articulated or fully enunciated version and the lazier version. So if I do E or E, they sound basically the same. But if I do ah and ah, both of those are ah sounds. The second one is the lazy ah, which we tend to use much more commonly, but it's the range of one sound. There's and like in cut. And then, at least in American English, there's a little point in the middle, which we would say This is our general thinking sound, and it's the core of the mouth posture for American English, right in the middle of the range for what I call the schwa sound. Now, if you want more proof and more details about this, you can go watch the lesson about the truth about the schwa, as well as a response video I did for that video because somebody didn't believe what I was talking about, and I gave some evidence in a follow-up lesson. The reality is that if you're speaking more quickly and or more lazily, it's going to tend toward that sound, the true schwa. If you are speaking more slowly and or more clearly, you're enunciating more, you're probably going to hit more that upside down V sound like in cut. So then, within the context of American English at least, the is really just the lazy version of So does this matter at all for your English? Well, yes and no. I think it's at least useful to be aware of it and to know the reality, because if you pay attention, you will notice exactly what I'm talking about, as long as you've trained your ears sufficiently, of course. But thinking about this as generally just one sound is perfectly fine and acceptable. And if you always just do that sort of center of gravity sound, you'll always be fine. In fact, I tested this with one of my mouth posture students recently, where I wanted him to say the word enough, but with the first syllable reduced to a true schwa, which we commonly do. The second syllable uses that upside down V. Now, if you use the center of gravity, not the upside down V, not the true reduced little sound, but if you use that in both syllables, but you stress the second one, it will sound perfectly fine. Enough. Enough. Now again, that first syllable is going to tend maybe towards The second syllable is going to tend towards like in cut. Enough. Enough. It can come out that way too. It's fine. The point is that if you stay around that center, you'll always be safe. So based off of Dr. Lindsay's description, it is sufficient. I just don't think that it's completely accurate. At the end of the day, Dr. Lindsay and I are actually more or less on the same page. He also brought up how dictionaries tend to transcribe using this upside down V for American English, and how supposedly the schwa is never stressed. Now, in my original schwa lesson, I did mention how technically the schwa is never supposed to be stressed, but that's just according to traditional convention and information of how it's taught. I will be making an updated version of all of the vowels as I go through the mouth posture course. And based on everything that we've talked about here and in my other Schwa related lessons, this is exactly why I write in the English Hacks phonetic transcription method any word that uses either what would be a schwa or the upside down V. I transcribe both of them with UH, because again, they are essentially the same sound within the context of American English. Once I realized that sounds have ranges, all the pieces kind of fell into place, and now I have a much better, more accurate and comprehensive way to teach the reality of what's going on here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching another English Hacks lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.